the same. She's on her stream, we on my stream. We putting it together. So we might have to do this on Sunday, man.
Yeah. All right. So let's get into the illegals, right? Because let's see.
Deport them all. I don't care. I don't care. I have no heart for this. So
this is big. It's been confirmed that Minnesota Somalians haven't stolen millions from American taxpayers through fraud. They're stolen billions.
Get them out of here.
And so
I want them gone.
I'm gonna play this clip. It's about 3 minutes.
Did money from Minnesota taxpayers earmarked to feed hungry children wind up in the hands of a Somali terrorist group? The allegations center around a massive welfare fraud case being brought in Minnesota. A 78th defendant was charged just today. And now reports are coming out that some of the stolen money may have wound up in the hands of al-Shabaab, a Somali-based terror group. In response, President Trump says he intends to end deportation protections for about 700 Somali nationals in Minnesota, calling Minnesota a, quote, hub for Somali gang networks, though he's provided no evidence for that. So what are the facts on the ground? Investigative correspondent Rich McHugh is at the federal courthouse in Minneapolis, Minnesota for us tonight. Rich, what are you learning?
Hi, Elizabeth. Well, we're at the federal courthouse where that 78th indictment came down just a few hours ago. All of it tied to Feeding Our Future. That's the corrupt nonprofit at the center of all of this fraud. We spoke with current and former federal sources, and they tell us billions have been stolen since 2019, that Minnesota is just riddled with fraud, and that a lot of this money goes back to Somalia, and a cut of all that money has gone to the al-Qaeda-linked terror group al-Shabaab. But I want to reset this for viewers because it's complicated. This all stems from Feeding Our Future. That's the largest COVID fraud ever. These criminals opened more than 200 federal child nutrition program sites throughout Minnesota, and sites lied, claimed to be serving meals to thousands of children a day. They created fake attendance rosters, fake invoices, and the government reimbursed them. David Gaither, he's a former state senator here. He saw this firsthand.
Rich, this is the Safari restaurant in downtown Minneapolis. This is the epicenter of some of the biggest fraud and waste and abuse in this area. The owner right now is currently in jail, federal jail. This restaurant, which seats about 35, supposedly served 18,000 plus meals a day.
A day?
A day for 7 months. 18,000 plus.
Now, Minnesota Rep. Ilhan Omar, she was a fixture at this restaurant, the Safari, during her run for office. I think we have a photo of her at the restaurant with her supporters in 2018.
You married her brother.
Feeding Our Future, that's that corrupt nonprofit. It was the epicenter of it, but others spawned from it. There were home relocation services, child autism. They were bilking $399 million in services fraud in 2023 alone. To date, 86 people have been indicted and counting. Federal authorities tell News Nation 79 of them are of Somali descent.
We've been holding accountable those that are the perpetrators of the crime. But we are not holding accountable those that created the opportunity to have those perps do what they did.
And that would be?
The policymaker, the Attorney General, and the administration.
Now, federal sources that we've spoken to, several of them, said the same thing to me, Elizabeth. They say there's a saying in the Somali community here that when it rains in Minneapolis, umbrellas go up in Mogadishu. That just about sums it up. Back to you.
Wow, almost 100 people charged in this scheme so far. Rich McHugh reporting in Minneapolis.
This is the problem with immigrants. They want to be Somalians in America. They don't want to be Americans. Their loyalty lies with Somali. They will do anything, even crime, in the name of Somali, as well as all of these other immigrant groups. You know, a lot of these people are not here to assimilate. They're still trying to build a little bitty Somalia inside of America. And that is a big problem. I really wish, if I had my way, I would cut off immigration for 20 years. You know, it's just not needed. It hasn't helped. And now we're starting to be betrayed and undermined by the people that we let in to have this better life, to have this American dream, but they don't want to be Americans to even have that dream whatsoever. We give them programs and help them get their footing in America, and this is how they repay us.
So you said that Ilhan Omar married her brother. And I'm like, well, I don't think that was true. Well, it is an investigation. I want to play this clip here.
Because dude, she got married three times back to back within like a year and a half span before she got with that white man.
Right. And one of the marriages were her brother, I think, to get him over here or something.
Yes, to secure
Minnesota Democrats, media, and the Department of Justice have continually ignored strong evidence supporting the fact that Ilhan Omar may be directly involved in tax, marriage, and immigration fraud.
In 2002, Omar married Ahmed Hirsi in a religious ceremony. Hirsi is the father of Omar's 3 children, and is pictured often with Omar and their children on their campaign website.
In 2016, Minnesota journalist Scott Johnson received a tip about a post from a Somali community website containing marriage certificates alleging Omar married her brother Elmi in February 2009 in order for him to immigrate to the U.S. legally, despite the facts she'd been married to the father of her children, Hirsi, over a decade.
This clearly proved that any such second marriage might be bigamous under Minnesota law, as well as fraudulent.
Later in August 2016, further investigations into legal documents and filings in Minnesota by journalist Priya Samsundar uncovered evidence supporting the allegation that Ilhan Omar married her brother, Ahmed Nursed Elmi, in 2009.
The 2009 marriage license to Elmi lists the same address as one filed for a Minnesota business 3 months later in May 2009 for a one-to-one cafe by Hirsi, the father of Omar's 3 children.
That means Ilhan Omar was living with both her real husband Hirsi while still married to her brother Elmi.
Omar has continued to deny the allegations, dismissing them as baseless rumors and fake journalists on bigot blogs despite mounting evidence.
High school record evidence also support the claim that Elmi is indeed her brother and graduated in 2003 from Arlington Senior High School in St. Paul, Minnesota, with enrollment records that state he was born April 4th, 1985. The same birth date listed on Omar's 2009 marriage certificate to Elmi.
As troubling details mounted against Omar, members of the Somali community were threatened into silence through intimidation tactics and physical violence on themselves and their families still back in Somalia. In an obtained Facebook Live video from August 18, 2016, a woman identified as the Associate Chair of the Somali American Caucus speaks. And in translation, she states in plain terms that any Somali that talks about Omar's personal life, including marriage discrepancies, is an enemy of the Somali community. Credible sources in the Somali community have stepped forward and provided Alpha News with information in exchange for anonymity, along with members of the 2003 class have also identified Elmi's father as
Nursed Elmi Mohammed, the same man who calls himself father to Ilhan Omar.
Now, this information was around when Biden was in, they never pursued it. All we got to do is get one crime on Ilhan Omar and she's deported. Okay.
I was going to say Trump, he already sending someone to investigate her taxes. They get the taxes, of course, the marriage with the brother,
misappropriation of them funds from that whatever foundation they had.
Foundation, Medicaid, the food.
It's not far-fetched to think that she would marry her brother because they have a whole federal investigation on Minnesota being one of the biggest places in America right now for marital fraud. That's people who are marrying people for the sole purpose of just to make them citizens. It was like the first week they arrested and found over 1,000 cases of people who did the marital fraud in Minnesota. So this is a very common thing. And one thing, if you've been looking at the Somali community, they are very tight knit. They are very, very tight knit. They deal with each other. So if one person figure out the hustle, we gonna all do this. You know what I mean? And they work together. That's the thing, the togetherness of it. Even though they're doing crime, they're doing it together. So it's not far-fetched to believe that Ilhan Omar would have done the same thing if she could bring her brother. If you look at what the hell Somalia looks like, you know, yeah, you'll probably marry your auntie.
But do you know the reason why there are so many Somalians in Minnesota? And this was under, I believe, either Barack or Bush, when we had troops over there, the Somalian war. So what America allowed was the refugees of Somalia to relocate and come here because they're a war-torn country, and we were in there with the military as well. Yeah. And I think this was started under Bush. So and throughout the decades, you see an increase. That's why they're heavily populated in Minnesota. We created the pathway for them to set up. And listen, you can't be mad at that. I'm mad at the scamming, but when they got here, like you said, they worked together and they politic together. They started running for office, and that is how you increase your power in a community and your stronghold. I want to Dana with the data. Dana with the data.